In by Murphy, last chance, Jaini's in there, Buat's in there. It's come to Bowyer! Just about the last kick! Lee Bowyer on debut for Birmingham. They've saved a point.
Excited for one, being back, and most importantly to be in charge of this football club. It's an honour, massive club that I've got a past relationship with. So yeah, I feel honoured to be sitting here as the new manager. I've always said I speak the truth. Today was my worst day in football as a player and as a manager. To witness what I've just witnessed there.
So, the end has finally come for Lee Bowyer. After what was, let's be honest, a fairly disappointing tenure as manager for Birmingham City. What started with such promise and optimism soon became the all too familiar feeling of exasperation and hopelessness. Of the many, many managers we've had in the last 10 years, Bowyer is probably the most polarising among the fans. Lots and lots of people have wanted him gone for absolutely ages, but there's still been a strong contingent that thought he was doing the best possible job under really difficult circumstances. Whether he wanted to stay himself, well, that's another matter. Today, I'm going to analyse what went wrong in the Lee Bowyer regime and take a look at the critical moments and decisions that led us to where we are today. Now, I am aware of the fact that we have already replaced Bowyer with a new manager, but I'm not going to talk about that today. We'll do that in another video. My name is Tom, you are watching TCFC, and this is Lee Bowyer, a retrospective.
TCFC.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Lee Bowyer took over at the end of the 2021 season and he absolutely saved us from certain relegation. No exaggeration there. Before he arrived, we were completely fucked under Aitor Karanka, and we'd definitely been playing in the third tier if it wasn't for Bowyer. After that, optimism was high. Signings had been made and we made a really promising start to the next campaign. We had an exciting new 5-3-2 formation, Chong was looking dangerous, and we'd just signed famous former Blues fan and Championship legend Troy Deeney. Let's talk about that for a quick second. Prior to Deeney arriving, we were in form. After that, we kind of crumbled. Now, I'm not saying that Deeney was a bad influence on the dressing room or anything like that. Absolutely not going into that minefield today. What I am saying is I feel like the signing really unsettled things. Perhaps it wasn't Bowyer's choice to buy him. Maybe Craig Gardner's involvement in the signing sowed some dissension between the dream team. I don't know. But soon, our captain was no longer our captain. And I suspect, with zero evidence to back this up, that there was some kind of rift in the dressing room. Now again, I'm really not trying to knock Deeney here, and I still have high hopes for him at Blues, but it really didn't work out last season for him. And I have to say, the signing really marked the end of when we started playing good football. So after that, our form seemed to fall apart, and we just stopped scoring goals for a bit. Chong got injured, and our creativity got really stifled, which brings me on to the next theme of Bowyer's reign, a bit of a mitigating circumstance: injuries. Whether through bad luck or through mandatory kicks to the leg in training, our injury list was absolutely ridiculous. Now, I have heard it say before that our injuries were really comparable with other teams in the league, but to me, it seemed it's the worst injuries that I can ever remember, and I do think that Bowyer deserves some slack for that. Now, after a very poor run, Blues finally managed to get back on their feet, largely inspired by the highly talented and creative Riley McGree. For me, he was better than Chong, he was better than Hernandez, just a really good player who actually scored and assisted. And that's why what happened next really pissed me off, and also I'm pretty sure it would have pissed Bowyer off too. We were told that it was impossible to keep him because he had a contract with Charlotte FC. Next thing you know, he'd gone to Borough for $2 million. I think it was a real slap in the face to Bowyer from the board, and it made him look like a bit of a tit because the situation was contradictory to what he had been saying in his interviews regarding McGree. And I think it was just more evidence of a poor relationship between Bowyer and the guys upstairs. Now, I would say a positive of Bowyer's throughout is that despite often having bad results and abject performances, there were times throughout the whole season we actually played good football. I mean, not for a whole game, obviously, this is Blues we're talking about, but in many games we moved the ball around nicely and actually put it in the back of the net. Of course, it rarely lasted, and our penchant for conceding late goals cost us dearly, the likes of Reading and Cardiff at home and Derby away. Like, whilst we couldn't play well for the whole game, he got us ticking sometimes, and that was a lot better than Karanka did anyway. Not that I'm setting the bar particularly high with that one. So we've looked at some of the mitigating circumstances and highlighted some of the early positives of his reign. Obviously he had a dodgy board and a flurry of injuries, but the question is, did Bowyer do everything he could? And is he blameless for our poor form and it's just based on difficult circumstances? For me, no. I mentioned early on about our exciting 5-3-2 formation. Boy did that get boring quick. We soon got work done. Any team with pace tore through our midfield. Our wing backs were generally not natural wing backs, the likes of Bella and Pedersen, and we started to ship goals like Billio. Too often attacking players were wasted in the wing back position, and it just wasn't utilising our strengths. Now, at no point did Bowyer ever revert to getting down the line and getting the balls into the box, which to me and so many others was just bizarre after he did this so well the season before. Maybe Jukovic is past it, but never once did we actually try giving him serious and consistent aerial delivery into the box. Bowyer, he refused to change the system, unless the game was already lost, such as Fulham and Blackpool away. Each game we conceded 6 goals. Now, and even with the positive new signings, the likes of Hernandez, we are still putting them at bloody left back as well. Formation aside, I think the real problem was the attitude. In the second half of the season, Bowyer's interviews were just miserable. He blamed the players, taking particular aim at Hulk Hogan. I can't think it inspired players, and he looked, quite frankly, he was begging to be sacked. And despite his assertion that he achieved his goal of keeping us up, the points deduction of Reading and Derby were a major help there. His attitude towards the end of the season was unprofessional, and I think his departure was probably best for everyone. I'm grateful for his time as a player. I'm grateful for him saving us post-Karanka. I'm grateful for him briefly inspiring hope in us. When it came down to it, it just wasn't to be. And that's it for today. I'm going to leave you with just one question. My first video I ever made was ranking the previous 10 Blues managers. If you haven't seen it, do so. This was before Bowyer arrived, so he's not in the list, but where do you think he would fit in our last 10 or 11 managers? For me, he's about between 5th and 6th. Slightly worse than Pep Clotet, but slightly better than Lee Clark. Let me know in the comments what you think, and why not like the video while you're there and give us a subscribe. Thanks for watching, keep right on, and have a nice day.